I thought I would talk about a woman I knew when I was a youngster in film school named Carol Downer, who started the feminist women's health centers. And they did this thing called self-help. What it was women getting together with a plastic speculum, a mirror, and a flashlight, and looking at their cervix, looking at their vagina, looking at each other's vagina. Now, this was not about prurient interest. This was about women taking control of their bodies and control of their reproductive lives. It was one of the first healthcare empowerment movements, before AIDS, before the whole breast cancer thing. Carol had a very dangerous and traumatic illegal abortion. And she was very politically active in other progressive movements. It was just at some transition time, like I think abortion was becoming legal in California, but it was right before Roe v. Wade. She and Lorraine Rothman developed menstrual extraction. The idea was supposedly, if you didn't feel like having 5 days, if you got cramps for your period, you could extract it all at once, with like a little jar and a flexible tube. And that was a way of teaching women to do safe abortions, just in case we ever lost the right to have an abortion. 5,000 women a year died from illegal abortions. I had had an abortion. Maybe that's one of the reasons I was really interested. I was around when this whole, what they called the Great Yogurt Conspiracy happened. At this self-help group, somebody had a yeast infection. And it's sort of a home remedy to use yogurt. So Carol gets arrested for practicing medicine without a license. They had like 10 officers raid the Feminist Women's Health Center and seize the yogurt in the refrigerator, which was people's lunches. To raise money for her defense, Carol and Lorraine and some of the other women from the health center went all over the country, and did presentations. And I guess Ms. Magazine sponsored them to do a presentation in New York. It was at some big space. And Carol was going to speak, but what she actually ended up doing was pulling out the speculum and the mirror and the flashlight and doing a vaginal self-examination demonstration. Carol looked like a normal person. I was like a hippie and, a radical, and she could have been a housewife. She was a housewife. She wore nice clothes, she wore makeup. Carol had 6 kids. And yet, I would say that Carol Downer is probably one of the bravest, most radical women. I mean, it's one thing to hold up a sign. It's another thing to show everybody your cervix as a political statement. I think in 1985, the clinic was burned down and it was arson, and they never found out who did it. When that happened, you know what they did? They didn't shut down. They didn't go hide. They started doing their work in a van so that there wasn't a building to burn down. This is Carol now. She is an immigration lawyer in Los Angeles. Carol is among a few women that I have had the honor and luck to know in my life who have done something radically different. And that's pretty inspiring.